Hey everybody, it's Ricky from All Sorts of Words, and you know how you make friends in the comic book community? You know how you do that? You literally just reach out. You just reach out. You say, "Hey, I'm a person, you're a person. Let's hang out and talk about comic books." So that's all this is. There's no big agenda here. Not trying to sell you nothing. Just want to hang out with some people that are good at talking about comics. So we're going to bring them on. Here we go. Nothing. Just what
Oops.
Oh, we have Brandon from Mon Comics, and we have some guy. I think he's DJ Tanner off of Full House. DJ Linx, how are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you. You caught me a rookie move. I had because I was sharing out the stream from
sure.
So I forgot to shut it off. So I'm hearing your voice double. I'm like, what the hell? Thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out and inviting me on.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to have good people on that want to talk about comics, but I want to dive right into this. We were having a conversation immediately before we came on. Let me do the stuff. Me panel screen share, and screen share
the stuff.
Everybody, if you haven't seen this, folks, if you haven't seen this is making the rounds on the internet right now. Mark Hamill autograph prices for those doing the audio only. 8x10 photo, measly $400 each. A premium photo, I can't even imagine what a premium is. $500 each. And bulky, I'm assuming that means a large item. Like if you brought him a original Millennium Falcon box toy to sign, he would charge you $700. Limited quantities available each day.
That's crazy.
Is there, I'll start with this. Is there anyone alive that you would pay these prices for?
I would pay for him. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
At those prices?
At that price, because Jedi was the first movie my parents took me to in theaters. The car broke down in a winter storm. My dad had to stay outside and fix it. Me and my mom went in. Started watching the movie, and I remember him coming in like when the Rancor was appearing, and I was like, "Dad, you got to see this. Sit down." And that's what engraved Star Wars in my life. So for Mark Hamill, I would pay it for one autograph. I mean, collectively this past weekend, I probably spent that on all the autographs of the people I got, minus our boy Keanu. But I want to ask you this, Ricky. Let me turn this on you. RDJ. Our plot twist: RDJ charges $750 for an autograph through the CGC signing. That was his most recent one. Would you argue that he's bigger than Hamill and can charge that, or do you think that's just as bad?
No, this is. I don't know. I'm definitely someone who wastes money on collectibles and shit. Right?
Same.
We all waste money on this stuff, but This awakens like the Frenchman in me climbing the barricade and eating the this awakens some anger inside of me that like you're gonna have $1 million in the bank and you're gonna look my Monday to Friday hardworking sweaty con going ass in the windows of my souls and tell me I need to pay you a PlayStation 5 to write your fucking name on a piece of paper. This is too much. This makes me angry.
I would pay this and probably even a little bit more for Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's probably the only one. Like that guy was my childhood 80s action star. Watched all his movies. He's the only person that I would probably do this for, or pay this money for.
I literally can't think of anybody.
But it would also have to be kind of like an experience, not like with RGJ sending the books to CGC for a CGC partner. I would like walk up to the thing, meet you, try to talk to you until you push me off in disgust. Like that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, we're splitting a cup of coffee for this amount of money. I'm pulling up a chair. You're inviting me to dinner. I'm going to meet your kids.
Yeah, like not just like sending the book off. Sending the book off for me like that, like Brandon, you said about RDJ, that's a hard pass for me.
Yeah, I would pass on that too. Like you said, it has to be an experience. Ricky, let me ask you: is there anyone you'd pay that amount of money for? Not necessarily a movie star, but any famous person.
Honest to God, like I mean, I'm even going through like because I'm a big reader, and there's some like reclusive authors that like they could need your help, and you could be like, "Oh shit, that's you," and they'd be like, "I'll die on the street." Like they don't want to talk to anybody. Like the guy who made Calvin and Hobbes, he does not play with press. He does not sign autographs. He doesn't do anything. And I'm even thinking about those, and like I can still find their autographs online, verified signatures for not that much money. I don't know. This doesn't at all smack of like greed to you. Like this doesn't make you think this guy's kind of shitty for even asking this of like a working class.
I don't know. I think it's his standing, like we said backstage, within the fandom, right? So he's Luke Skywalker and he's the voice of the Joker, two of the most prominent characters in Star Wars fandom and in comic book fandom. So I don't know. For me, it's kind of worth it, but it like you said, it sucks that the working man has to spend this kind of money to get that experience.
I mean, it's making headline news that they just like upped the Big Mac $1.50. You know what I mean? Like in that universe for this to take place, I don't know. Shameful comes to mind, that word.
I mean, also, what about the fact, like I Ricky and I kind of talked about this this afternoon because I've missed him so much after being with him for 24 hours a day at the con. But what about people, just trying to, keep the people that are looking to flip his auto away? Yeah. I mean, if people go up with a stack of freaking, VHSs of Star Wars tapes and say, sign these 20 at $50 a pop, and they're turning around and selling them for, even if they can get 200 for them, is he trying to prevent greed further down the line and let, it's tough, but that's where my mind went, is like, people are going to try to flip this. People are horrible. It's, like it makes it harder for us to acquire those signatures.
Now, the question that I have is this, is he charging this specifically, or is he making an appearance and the money goes to the person that hired him to be there? Because that could be. And so
I actually, that is a really good point. I wonder if he was given his guarantee for being there, and it's like he's there for 2 days. We're going to pay him $350,000, and then this is what $350,000 divided among the paying public looks like. I have no idea what his guarantee would possibly look like, but for these types of prices, I mean, it's kind of like if only 100 people show up, 100 people have to split $350,000.
That's great. That's crazy. That's the way they should charge.
Yeah. How many people want to come meet you, and then we'll divide your guarantee that way? That's not bad.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Brandon, you owe us $18,000 for that selfie.
Yeah, then I'm running. That's a good point too. I'd like to know the breakdown of that, So this is a question I specifically had for you, DJ. Yes, everybody has the supposition that big books, like the ones you get sitting behind you, at cons, it's a dumb idea. Because the prices of the books historically at cons are inflated.
Yeah.
You definitely don't have to share the number, obviously, but like, would you say that what you paid at the con was comparable to what you could have gotten online? Or did you kind of make the decision of, I'm going to pay a premium for this book at the con so I can have the con experience, I can get the filming done, it's not just me unboxing on my YouTube channel? Like, how did that play out?
So for the AF-15, I paid a premium. So I paid over fair market value, but it's not everywhere that you go in and there's an AF-15 there. So it's rare that it comes into my comic shop. This one, I saw it. I was looking for it specifically in a 3.0. So it was a 3.0. The guy, he had it way over fair market value, like $5,000 over fair market value. And he got close to the fair market value. And that's why I was just like, all right, done. Like, I understand you got to make your money too and all this other stuff. But it was, like it was just there in a 3.0. That's exactly what I wanted. It's in really good condition. It presents really well. So I'm happy paying a premium, especially if we go to the cons. I want the con experience. I want to be able to go to a con, walk away with a big book, and just be happy about it. I also look at it like, well, no, that's not what it. It's part of the experience for me. Like I mean, luckily I'm in a position where I'm able to go in and I'm able to pay over fair market value. But like these books, like they don't come around too often. Now, if you're looking at like New Mutants 98, Ultimate Fallout 4, those I will never get at a con. Like those you could probably get online. But for me, I enjoy the like just going in a store or to the con, like dealing with a vendor. Like I want to have that interaction. No matter what I pay for it, I just want to have the interaction. Like I buy online, like I buy a lot of shit off of eBay too, and those are like late night. I'm in the bed, can't sleep, and I'm just buying stuff. Which I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have the in-person interaction. But yeah, with these books, you're always gonna you're always going to pay a premium. The guy's gonna come down a little bit, and that it is what it is. You have to be, I don't want to say comfortable, but you have to be okay with going over fair market value.
And was it the same thing with the Hulk?
Oh shit, yo, the Hulk I got online, so I got online. It was one of those things where I was just like, whatever. I just pulled the trigger, got online, which was a giant mistake. Like you never, because you know about the scams and the switching books and all that stuff. I got the Hulk online, and I'm laughing because I know what I paid for the Hulk, and you know I got it at its height, and it depreciated in value probably like almost 2/3 from what I paid for it. So you can do the math, you can go look it up and all that stuff. And yeah, so the Hulk is a sore spot for me. Yeah, I got that one online. The other one I got at Heroes Con. I bought a book off of Mighty Comics and Collectibles. What's up, Lawrence? I got a book from him at King Con. I think it was a Fantastic Four 12. Yeah, Fantastic Four 12. I got it on the wall over there. And he gave me a great deal.
And Brandon, I didn't, in case you don't know, DJ, I'm famous for digging through the bins on like the trash that nobody wants. That's kind of like if I can see a book that makes me go like, I need to know more about this. And then also, those are the books that I buy. For example, I found Debbie Does Dallas.
Oh, nice.
I'm saying, and it is
stole that from my grandfather, and I'm not talking about the comic book.
It is as horrific as you can imagine the interior of a comic book about Debbie Does Dallas would be. But that's the stuff I look for. But like Brandon, you did some actual shopping at Terrificon. Would you say that holds true about con prices being generally higher?
Okay, so I had a really good experiment. I knew I wanted a Silver Surfer 4 and about a 5.0. I wanted it forever. I wanted to buy it in person. I've seen it online all the time. It's been coming down. And after our Keanu signing, when you went up to the room and I was like still in a freaking fever dream, like just wanted to go into the con, one of the first booths was very Gary.
Yeah. And
I was like, hey, Gary, do you have, I asked what I wanted. He said, yeah, I do. And he had it. And I looked at it and he had 600 on it. And I knew fair market value for a 5.0 was about 540 at that point. So I was like, okay, if I pay with cash, what can you do? And he's like, well, I usually give 10% off for cash discounts. And I was like, would you do 475? He's like, no, I can't go that low. And then Bigby chimed in and was like, well, he's on YouTube too. He's like one of the community. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, I could do 525. And I was like, sold. That's just a little bit below FMV, what I was looking to pay. And it was a really fair deal. And then I started looking at the label after I bought it, like closer, and it says John Buscema written in ink on the first page. So wow. That's a pretty good chance that's I can JSA that. So with the slab, I found that to be a particularly good deal for a bigger book, big for what I usually spend. But then I looked at those two. I copied you, DJ Linx. I got the Journey into Mystery 62. Finally, I got the first Hulk prototype.
Such a good book.
Yeah, I got Tales of Suspense 15 as well. And they're pretty higher grade for how old these books are and how you usually find them. And I thought they were a little overpriced for what they were. But then again, cover price, last sales were from 2020 to 2022. And then I ran around the con after I saw what he wanted for the Gym 62. And I asked every vendor, I went to every booth, do you have a Gym 62? Do you have a Gym? No one had one out of all those vendors there besides this one guy. This is a tough book. Mm-hmm. So paying that premium to buy it in person, because I could buy it on eBay. They're on eBay right now for, higher than fair market value that I might get a deal on. But to buy it in person with you guys there, and celebrate that win and get maybe the only copy of the show, as far as I could tell, I'll pay that premium. So I think I was probably a little overpaid on the raws, but the slab, Gary gave me a great deal.
Mhm. Yeah, shout out to Gary. I got my Hulk. I want to say the Hulk 6 from him at King Con 2 years ago. He's a good dude, man. He's always giving deals and stuff like that. You just have to ask, and that's his typical shtick. The I'll give you the 10%, and then he's like, "Oh, do you take PayPal?" He's gonna be like, "Oh, PayPal, oh, come on, ah." So cash is king, man. Cash is king. Shout out to Very Gary.
Yes, and I bought off him online too. He ships well. Really nice guy. Good deals. Very great in our community. For someone who collects but sells in our community, he's a great thing.
Yeah. For the books, the shopping online, I should have added this. Like, I'll get slabs online on eBay. I wouldn't get any raw books on eBay unless it's like run fillers or cheap stuff, $5 and less. But I wouldn't buy like the Gym 62 on eBay. I just don't trust people.
Yeah, raw for sure.
Yeah, I don't trust either you guys.
So in that case, the premium is you're buying assurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I could open it up, take it out. He counted the pages for me. Staples are nice and clean.
See, that's another thing that a lot of people don't do. They don't take the book out and go through it. Like, I advise everyone, if you're any book, $200 and up, I would say, go through the entire book. Like, just stay there.
Yeah.
I had a friend, Burke Family 54 Comics. He had bought, I think it was the first appearance of Batgirl, and he's going through it, and like pages were missing. Like he bought it, and he didn't open it. And then when he went home, he's going through it, and like the pages were missing from it, which was crazy. And luckily, like the con, it was in his city, so he didn't travel anywhere, and he was able to go back, give the book back, and then I think they reimbursed him or whatever the case is. But yeah, definitely like go through those books, especially if they're like, some classic books. You don't want to get caught out there with your pants down unless you do.
Mm. So something else to mention, because I don't hear, I just did a convention, and so I don't hear the community talk about this a lot, but have a list when you're at the con, because not for the practical reasons of, we all collect thousands of books and we don't remember what we want. The most practical reason is you're going to find that something on your list is a ghost at that particular convention, does not exist. And then you can kind of cross it off and move down the line and focus on something else. For example, I went to every booth. I went to every booth looking for a complete set of Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla. Nobody had it. And everybody that said they did, I started off the day with 3. I started off the day with 2.
You want to stream?
Gone by Friday.
You just caught a mouse.
Oh,
A mouse?
Our cat's a killer, dude.
yeah, get him.
We live in the middle of nowhere.
It's squeaking, it's dying.
I'll be right back.
He's gonna
Bring the camera.
Step on it.
Oh no.
Oh, he'll be back.
But house murder.
I know. So I couldn't find that series at all. But another one that was down my list that I really, really, really wanted, the complete 1 through 12 DC Flintstones.
Wow.
Like it
nice.
just doesn't exist. You never find it. You'll find random variant covers, but you never find the entire set. It was $50, and I was so thrilled. If you don't know,
I've never seen it.
have you read it?
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. If you don't know, so this is a commentary on like how things never change.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, like he's telling a story to Wilma, and he's saying, "Hey, did you hear? Marty evolved." And she's like, "Oh, he evolved. Oh, what does that look like?" And they're like, "He left Jillian and the kids." And so there's this like dark bend to like how even back in the day they deal with things like the unions and worker exploitation and breaking your back for a job that doesn't really appreciate that whole "it's a living" thing.
I used to love the cartoon. I just never saw the books. The cartoon.
Yeah, so it's I don't want to say it's new. What is it? 2017.
Yeah, I was going to say because he's taking a selfie.
Yeah. And the whole series is like that, and I've read snippets of it. I started reading it digitally. I hate reading digitally, but I just couldn't find the damn thing.
I can't do digital at all, man. Like I tried it on my iPad, and I started reading something, and I was just like, I can't do this. And literally, I just like, I can't do this, like loud. My wife was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I was like, "Sorry." She thought I was talking to her about the marriage. I was like, "No, I meant reading on the iPad. I can't do this."
I mean, I did and sometimes do out of necessity.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to spend. I feel dirty. I don't want to spend like $3.99 buying a reprint of an old book. I don't want the reprint in my house. I feel gross about it. So I'd rather just read a digital copy of like Spider-Man 1 or whatever.
I'm completely with you. What I was trying to read was it was an old book. I think it was like that storyline, The End, like Marvel's The End, where like Akhenaten comes down in the pyramid and I don't know whatever, and because I couldn't find it in the shop or anything like that, and it was like I don't want to pay for an old book and a cheap book at that. And I don't know. There's just something weird with the paneling and then having to zoom in. I don't know. And this is before I got back into comics when the end of 2021. So I was like trying to read them digitally and it was like I just couldn't. I don't know. Damn iPad.
Yeah, I mean, I did it on my laptop a lot. Like I used like CBR comic book reader, and I have like all of I read like 1 through I think 190 of Hulk, and on a laptop. That's how I read it. So I didn't want to buy it.
Yeah. So on my iPad, before I started reading them, this is when I discovered torrents and stuff, and I was like, I could download all this stuff for free. So I just downloaded everything, and I must have downloaded like 100 comics before I even read one to see what the reading experience would have been on an iPad. I wasted a lot of time downloading all that shit.
I mean, okay, so that's a really good segue. So I'm gonna kick it off with what have you been reading lately? What have you been reading lately? And so last week, for those of you who don't know, I like books. I like books. So last week I finished War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a slow reader. I read some pretty big, thick boy books, but I am a slow reader. So this took me about 2.5 months to get through. Briefest review ever. It's kind of like reading a Jane Austen novel. There's a lot more romance and history in it than you would expect, but way more romance than I would expected.
I'm disappointed when you just shared that it wasn't followed by the clip from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In one Russian novel, embracing more than 500 characters, was set during the Napoleonic War.
Wow, that is a deep cut. Deep cut. I'm going to be honest though, so I know a lot about a little, but I had no idea. If you would put a gun to my head and said, what was the War of 1812? Who were the major players in the War of 1812? I would have stared at you blankly. But then I learned all about the war in 1812.
Oh yeah, I'm dying.
I read issues 1 through 3 of the original Creech run.
Nice.
Like
great character design, dude.
It's okay. So here's the thing. This is what a lot of people need to know about reading in general. Reading is an empathy machine. It's a fantastic tool for taking your brain out of your head and putting it into the head of another person and experiencing the world as they see fit. That is the magic of reading. However, some people, especially today, more sometimes in the past, but really today in the 21st century, they read someone else's politics or they read someone else's opinion on the world, and they see that as a challenge to the way the reader, see the world, and they immediately get turned off. This is a pretty conservative take on the concept of abortion. Wow, I went to a comic book show and someone said the A word. This is a pretty conservative take on the concept of abortion, and I wasn't aware of that reading this as an adult. And so it is a little jarring when they're talking about the concept of abortion as lives being thrown away. That is politically not aligned with how a lot of people see the world. It doesn't speak for everybody, but as a proponent of the arts, I want to say it is a wild read. It's very strange. The art is fantastic. It is worth your time if you are capable of effectively pulling your brain out of your head and experiencing the world as someone else sees fit. If that makes sense.
Totally.
Last thing I read before I pass the mic. So Shigeru Kayama, this is a science fiction author from the 1950s who wrote about big monsters in Japan. You can see where this is going. when they wanted to make a little movie in 1954 called Godzilla, they reached out to this author to write the screenplay and the basic outline of the story for the 2 Godzilla films, Godzilla and its sequel, which was made only a year later because it made so much money they greenlit it right away, Godzilla Raids Again. They also use the same writer, the same creator, to write the novelizations for the films when they came out because it was printed money. For the first time in ever, this year, they have released the original film novellas for Godzilla and Godzilla Raids Again, translated into English. They've never been translated in English before. And they are hot, steaming garbage. It is the equivalent of like a Scholastic adaptation of a book that was made into a movie, but now it's getting another book that isn't the original book. It's dreadful. But if you're a Godzilla fan and you have your big green boy every time you do anything in your life, this is another way to experience it. Christ help me. That's what I've been reading. DJ Linx, what have you been reading?
I'm gonna grab a book while he's going.
Do it.
Oh, that's not fair. I don't have any books. It's funny. I keep at my desk over there. So all my books are lined up here that I catalog and put away. But then all the stuff that I'm currently reading is at my desk over there in the living room. What did I read today? DC versus Vampires, #1. World War V, I think it's called, which was pretty cool. The original story that came out 2 years ago, I think it was okay. It was like my first foray into DC Comics, really. I read all the Batman New 52 stuff, which was great. And then, I wanted to get involved with the DC weeklies or DC monthlies and stuff like that. So DC versus Vampires was one of the first. So I read the first issue of the new story arc this morning, as well as another DC book, Batman. What's the one that's out? Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age, which I thought was fantastic. Now, mind you, when I say fantastic, I'm just a big fan of these books. I don't go into it trying to find like the deep themes and the meanings and all this other stuff. And I appreciate you for doing that. And when you were talking about the A word, I was just like, wait, that's what the creature was about? I was like, I thought it was about Smash Smash. I just enjoy the comics and then reading it and wanting to be entertained first and foremost. For some reason, I like the DC stuff. I read a lot of indie stuff, and for some reason, I'm drawing a blank. I know the other day I read Gun Honey, which I love. Gun Honey is my shit. Guns, violence, and titties. That's. I told you I was a product of the '80s. That's why I want to meet Arnold. Gun Honey, Plastic, Death and Dolls, which is amazing. Yeah, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. And I like on my weekly pull list, at minimum is like 18 books. And out of that, Marvel is always like on the bottom of the pile, except for Ultimate Spider-Man. So for me, for Marvel, Ultimate Spider-Man, Get Fury, which came out today, and there's another one, and Hulk. Those are like my top 3. But I'm reading Miles Morales. I'm reading Immortal Thor. Are you guys reading Immortal Thor? Good for you guys.
Good for you guys. Jeez, is that bad?
It's a slog. And that's one of those that it's a chore to read. Because I put my books by excitement level. So I'll set it like, I'm super excited for this one. And then like Thor was the last book that I read today. And I was just like, oh my God. And it took me like 3 sittings to get through the issue. And that was like, I think issue Immortal Thor 14 in my book. Nemesis. What was the new Nemesis? There was a new Nemesis book from Mark Miller. Amazing. I forgot what it's called. Nemesis. It's not Nemesis Reloaded. Rogues Gallery, maybe. Amazing.
Yeah, Mark Miller's Miller World. I remember when they first announced it, I was like, "That's kind of lame. You're gonna like name your world after you, but like, man, that boy delivers." Yeah,
he is amazing. That the new Prodigy series, Slave of Mars, also written by him, fantastic. And Nightclub 2 came out today. Well, Nightclub 2 issue number 1, so it's the second arc. I'm dying to read that about the vampire superhero kids. Super dope.
Yeah, the other thing I'm reading, like I literally started it last night, barely worth mentioning. I have the first 28 issues of The Boys. I started reading The Boys #1. My wife and I have been watching the TV show, and I read the first, I think, 20 issues a million years ago. and like Jesus, it is an entirely different animal. Like you, I don't even think anyone could watch the show and then go enjoy the comic. The show is far superior. It almost feels like the comic is a rough draft of the show.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That the book is not as good as the show. I was cataloging some stuff yesterday, and I have a reprint of The Boys #1, and I just like went through it to see in the first issue where A-Train, whatever, and I was like, oh snap, that's that. But speaking of The Boys, a book that's out that not a lot of people are talking about, Blood Squad 7, Image title. Are you guys familiar with it?
Nope, writing it down though.
Bruh. So issue #4 was released today. I have yet to read issue #4, but 1 through 3, you could see that they're trying to kind of capture that The Boys energy, where you got like the one guy who's like the hero, but he's evil and all this stuff. And it's reminiscent of Youngbloods. So there was a Blood Squad 7 team in the 90s, and now they're trying to put together a team in 2024. I highly recommend it. Like, if you're a fan of The Boys TV show, I highly recommend Blood Squad 7. And nobody I know is reading it. I'm disappointed.
Wow. You hear that, everybody? You're disappointing DJ Linx. Are you happy?
I wrote it down. I'm gonna read the shit out of it now.
Yeah, it's dope. I don't want to go into. I don't want to say anything because then it's like giving whatever. But it's done really, really well.
Brandon, what are you reading right now?
So when we were in line for Keanu, I had never read Berserker, so I started reading it, and
the signed copy.
Yeah, got the signed. That's the only one I got is the signed Keanu. So I read the first book, and I actually really enjoyed it. You can tell it's Keanu writing. Like it plays like
for
Keanu.
Better or worse.
Yeah, and
fist right through the face, boom.
Right, yeah. So I started reading the other ones on the website you suggested. What is it? Free Comics Online, Ricky?
Oh yeah.
Read Free Comics. So I'm enjoying that. I think that's cool. I am been working through this bad boy. It's the Fantastic Four Penguin Publishing Marvel collection. So it's got like this huge forward by Jerry Kraft explaining like how the Fantastic Four changed Marvel and ushered in, the superhero era. And then like after that lengthy forward, it goes like right, beautiful in color, 1 through 5. Oh, shout out Brian LCS and the CBCAs. 1 through 5 in color. So I can read, it's got the 1 through 5, and then Building a Fantastic World 6 through 9, the trilogy 48, 49, 50, the annuals. So it's like the best stories of the Fantastic Four that were like culturally significant, socially significant, and show the family dynamic. So this has been a fun read. I've been working through this. Obviously reading the comics is like, it's dated, but it's fun to see that stuff. And then I actually am going to read this tonight, The Nice House by the Sea. I got this at Terrificon. I really enjoyed Nice House on the Lake. So I'm really excited to dig into that.
That Martin Simmons cover is amazing.
Yeah, this was beautiful. Like when I saw it, I got this in the Frizen horror anthology that they just put out, and it's beautiful.
Hello Darkness. That was good.
Hello Darkness. Yes. It was that good. Did you read it, DJ?
Yeah, it was good. It's funny because it's like an anthology book,
right.
But there's like 8 or 9 stories in it. So there's like a story that's like a 1-pager, then there's a 2-pager, then there's a 5-pager, then there's another 2-pager. So it's not your typical it's usually like 4 stories. So there's just a lot. And there's for the Something Is Killing the Children fans, there's a story in the Something Is Killing the Children story within Hello Darkness that's going to continue throughout the issues.
Yes, was very excited when I heard that. That was like one part of the reason I picked it up. So I mean, the modern comics, the community's got me into reading them. If Ricky, someone will, hey, have you read this though? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, it's up your alley, man. Go get it. So yeah, been loving reading the modern comics. It gets me out of this stuff,
If you're Googling what comics to read, you're doing it wrong. Talk to people who read comics and they will put you on to the good shit.
Oh, you're a horror guy? Here, read these 3 titles. Call me in a day.
Yeah. Do you like horror and boners? Here's Crossed.
Was that an inside joke about me?
Do you like Crossed? I love
Crossed. Love
Dude,
Cross. Oh my
I
God.
have a short box
Sick
with
bastards.
literally every single issue of the series, all of it. Cross Badlands, all the spin-offs, all of it. It was the first thing I earnestly collected when I got back into comics.
Give me a hug right through the screen.
I love it.
Yo, I got into Crossed. So when I had gotten out of comics and then I got back into it, legit shout out to my boy Rich. So it was after like a company happy hour or something, and I was always going to Midtown Comics in the city because I was buying the hot toys that you see, and I wanted to dip my toe in comics. I was drunk as a skunk, went into Midtown Comics. I was looking for stuff. I pulled Cross Volume 1 off the shelf. I went face down on the counter like if I was buying like a dirty mag or something, and I fell in love with it. And the reason why I got it, who's the writer? Is it Bendis?
Ennis.
And Garth Ennis. And that's why, because I was a big fan of his Punisher stuff. So I was just like Garth Ennis, and then I got it, and I loved. I was just like, this is some sick shit. And they announced the movie the other day.
I mean, here's the deal. So here's the deal. Two things about that. Two things about that. Number one, I can't remember the name of it. It's Cross Dead something, Dead World.
Mhm.
It was 2 issues, and they were originally going to make a Cross TV show. And so they made 2 issues that were standalone issues that were supposed to be the lead into the TV show. Like, this is what we're doing. And it was tonally a little different than what we knew, the craziness of the Cross, a little bit more subdued. But if you want to see what the TV show was angling for, it's Cross Dead something. It's only 2 issues. Look it up on My Comic Shop and you'll see all the different Cross listings. There's only one with 2 issues. We already did get a Crossed movie. It just wasn't called Crossed. For those of you who don't know, use the free trial for Shudder, the Netflix of horror movies, and they produced a movie called The Sadness. It was made by a Canadian director and funded, I shit you not, funded and produced by a bunch of e-girls who have money. And so they threw money at this dude and they made a Crossed movie, except the infected don't have the cross on their face. Their eyes turn black. But for all intents and purposes, what they do, how they do it, and where they do it to you is 100% in that movie. It's called The Sadness. And it is what, and here's the deal. I'll make you a deal, and all sorts of words guarantee. If you can watch the Red Band trailer on YouTube and not get the most vicious boner of your life, I will reimburse your boner.
I'm not even gonna watch the trailer, dude. I'm just gonna watch it. I have Shudder. Like, that's another thing I collect. I collect streaming services. Like, I don't know why. I have everything. I'm probably watching after. What's today? Wednesday. I am so excited. I don't know why. You're my favorite person right now. Sorry, man. No one. Every time you mention Cross to somebody, they'd be like, "Oh, you sick, perverted fuck," and I'm like, "Yeah."
But it's also like, especially if you read Cross Badlands. Badlands is like we're just gonna pick. We're gonna pull out of a hat like 3 different types of people and then put them in the Cross situation and then have them work through their trauma. And then like some of the short stories they tell, Badlands is genius. But yeah, I'm always excited when I meet people to tell them like, no, there is a Cross movie. They interviewed the director. It is directly influenced by Cross. There is a girl who loses an eye. And then there is a man who sees that as an opportunity.
Oh man,
you're gonna love it. I can't wait. You're gonna have to hit me up on Insta and be like, "No, I watched it."
Ricky, was this directed by Rob Jabaz?
So this is the director's first movie. So I haven't really internalized his name, but I'll tell you if I'm looking it up on Sadness. Yeah, dude, it's a wild movie. And like I watched it and I was like, how is this not Crossed? And then every time, Rob Jabaz. And then when I made my Crossed video, that's it.
The Sadness.
That's it. They're torturing one guy at one point, and there's like a bunch of people like watching from the sidelines, and they're like, we can't leave him, we gotta save him. And they chase off the people torturing him, and they go up to the guy, and he's been getting he was, you know how like kids used to like as bullying, they'd pick a person up and then run them through their balls into like a pole. You know, like two people on two legs, and you know what I mean? They kind of run, they do that. They were doing that to him viciously. And so they're like, we got to save him. So they run up and save him. And then they get up to him and they're like, dude, we're going to get you out of here. Don't worry about it. And he looks up and his eyes are turned and he's like, why did you stop them?
Oh,
this movie is wild. It is everything you want out of a Crossed movie.
I saw the announcement for that too, DJ Linx, and someone in the Facebook comments was like, they could give this an R rating and it would still be too tame for what they would unleash. I was like, well, Ricky's told me yes.
Crossed is everything Congress said comic books were.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Like I remember when I was reading it that first volume, I'm reading it like at the kitchen table, and my wife is just like, "What's the matter with you?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And you have to read it like that, like.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. Like, so when they were coming in the house, when the collections were coming in, my wife was seeing some of the covers, and she's like, "I don't have an opinion on the stuff you buy." I have a very strong reaction to some of this imagery, and like, I feel you. I do too.
Like, I would imagine your better halves are supportive of the hobby and supportive of your collecting habits and stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's the deal. So I'm the thing that I most obsess over that she has dealt with graciously is my writing. It takes a lot to get books out. And so like she sees all the different steps along the way and the processes. So like anything you've ever seen me with like comic collecting or video games or anything I talk about on my channel it pales in comparison in terms of the obsession when I'm in it. When I'm like, no, I'm in the final draft right now. It's going off to the editor. I can't fuck around. Like that level of dedication. If she can handle that, this is all kid stuff.
Gotcha. But
Brandon's wife, I know she's into it.
Yeah, we got together and started dating in 2011, and we were watching that's shortly after Iron Man came out in 2008, right? So Marvel was our thing. She grew up with the X-Men. She had the Marvel card. I mean, she grew up with the X-Men, like loving the X-Men.
Oh, I thought you meant she grew up with the X-Men, like she knew them, like
no, I wish I needed in like that. She had the Marvel cards. She had, X-Men cartoon, like, so we got to watch X-Men 97 together, and she's like, this is amazing. So she totally gets it. We encourage each other's passions. She's a photographer, so I'll carry the bags for her whenever she wants to go, do photo shoots and stuff. So, very supportive. She gets the nerddom. She's a nerd too.
Yeah.
How about yours, DJ? With a room like that, she's got to.
No, she's super supportive, and it's funny. She like getting into the comic books and stuff. She took it upon herself to learn a lot about the comic book stuff. So she knows a lot about, especially like big books and things like that. Like she'll price stuff out and she'll help me out. She's gotten me like big books for like gifts and things like that. But I was surprised that she took it upon herself to learn about it, like especially like with the YouTube stuff. So she'll be in the, like, she's working, so that's why she's not here. But if I'm on a stream, like, she'll join the stream. Like, she wants to be real supportive like that. Where it's just not my thing. It's kind of like our thing. And when we go to cons, like, she's always with me. When I set up to Ven for like the Comics Curing Cancer or something else, like, she's always with me. And not just like sitting there, like, she'll work the booth. Like at Heroes Con, and now this is just like I'm going off or whatever. At Heroes Con, I left the booth to go film somebody for like 3 hours, and she was like rocking the booth with Rob Fat Sacks of Comics. So she's like in it, like in the hobby. So she's community adjacent.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it bums me out when I hear people who's like, I gotta hide this from my wife or whatever. It's like, I know that's a joke, but are you serious? Because that's kind of wild.
I mean, here's the deal. I think it takes a certain type of, and tell me I'm crazy. I think it takes a certain type of work ethic in a person to say, I'm going to do all of the things that I love and then add YouTube on top of it. Mm-hmm. Like this is really fun. It is really fun, guys. If you ever want to get into YouTube, it is really fun. However, it does take an incredible amount of work. And so I think if you are that type of person who does this, I think you've already established yourself with someone like a spouse who understands that you're like a hard worker and you you have these things in your life. So I think the comment I hear of that when it's like, oh, I got to hide this from my wife, is the kind of person that like they just have a comic book hobby. And so to them, to a family member, it might just look like a money sink. But to us, it's like, it's projects and I want to do an episode and I want to meet the community. And so I think it does help soften the blow of buying thousands of dollars worth of comic books when it's also tied in with like this additional creative outlet. So we might be spoiled in that regard.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Well,
Yeah,
damn.
I mean, I share an office with my wife. If I turn the computer around, her work desk is over across from me. And she, as we had kids, I lost my collection room as we had the first kid, and I moved in the room next door, and then we had our second kid, and I'm like, where do I go? And she's like, you can have one half of my office, and that was just to collect stuff. And then I started YouTubing, and I put a desk in here and my lamps. And she's like, Jesus, you're taking over. I knew you'd do this. And I'm like, no, honey, like, anything I get framed and matted has to be in colors approved by the HANA code of authority, so very supportive. I think you're absolutely right. That is a really good way to put it, Ricky, is, that they've seen the passion from the beginning. So when we reach this arc of YouTubing, it's like they get it,
Yeah, YouTubing is very fun, but it's the best way my wife puts it. She goes, it's another thing. Like when I write and when I'm doing my books, that's one thing. When I'm collecting, that's another thing. When I'm obsessing about a movie I need to see, that's another thing. And so when I first came to her with YouTube, she was like, it's another thing. But then when I think she saw the output and the work that I put into it, that's when she's like, oh, it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
It is goofy, but it's serious. I mean, otherwise every single one of us would have a YouTube channel if it was easy.
No, it's tough. Like it's you guys make it look easy. It's tough. It's a grind.
Yeah,
like
for
I'm
real.
going I passed 4 years in April.
Yeah, no, your special effects make it look easy. How you shoot your videos and go use different cameras, you make it look easy. As someone who creates at the bare bones minimum of having to learn this stuff, my wife, a millennial, having to teach me, you like being a creator yourself, like you have an extra appreciate when you see people that are doing that kind of work. You're like, damn, like I hope the regular folk know what it takes to sit down and not only, it's not just filming and then edit a couple things, and you're adding a ton. And plus your room too behind you, DJ Linx, and everyone's creative space, they put time in it. And I don't know if people, I hope people appreciate that, because it's insane what you guys are able to do. Ricky's genius and his hilariousness with videos, your editing skills, and your persona behind the camera. That doesn't just happen. It takes work.
Yeah, no, thank you. But that's what I was telling Ricky when we jumped backstage. I was just like holy shit. Like when I first saw your channel, just the amount of effort, because I gravitate to content like that heavily edited and stuff like that. And just like it's not even editing, it's the storytelling throughout the entire video. So it's not just, hey, here's this, but it's like the storytelling, then like some of the skits in the beginning and stuff like that, and just your angles. So even your video about the other day with like the Keanu Reeves, you're sitting in the chair, then you move to another chair, then you're on the bed, then you're like stomach down on the bed, like, hey, with your socks up in the back. Like I appreciate all that stuff, and it's one continuous through line, just like different shots. Like I love the stuff like that.
Well, that makes me happy. And now, even if I wanted to stand, I couldn't without getting a strike.
Yeah, Ricky, that video was so good. I'm working on my first Terrificon video I'm going to put out, and I'm going to do it by day. So like I'm going to recap Friday of what I went through. People can live the con through what the madness it was of me running around. And I'm obviously going to start with Keanu, but I'm going to just be like, listen, if you want to see the definitive breakdown as to how this happened, play by play, and I'm going to link your video down in my description, because I'll basically touch on it and say, listen to Ricky, it was exactly as that sounded, because I can't tell the story the way that Ricky did. And I watched it like 5 times already, and I was there with him, And
Mitch from Terrificon commented.
Shut up.
He did. He commented. He said, go into the comments for it. He said, it didn't take 500 people. It took these 6. And then he like listed off who made Keanu happen. And I think Mitch, if you ever see this, I think he kind of missed the point, because like what he said kind of discounts like the staff and the amount of people that Keanu worked with. But I think he was trying to like bullet point like who made this happen. And he like listed off who made it happen. It was like him, Garney, Keanu's like main rep and then Keanu himself. And he's like, that's who made it happen. I'm like, okay, well, fuck your staff, I guess. Because I was giving him some props, but sure. But yeah, he did comment.
Keanu lives not too far from me in Brooklyn. Well, I mean, one of his spots.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's worth like $380 million. So I'm sure he has a couple homes.
Yeah. And so whenever you see images like of him on the subway, it's on the L train. So he gets off on Jefferson. So I'm not stalking him or anything like that.
Usually has a cup of coffee in his left hand, wears tight slacks.
Yeah.
On Jefferson. Question for you guys. From Terrificon, what was your non-comic book related highlight, including like take away meeting everyone, because that's what we're all going to say, like, oh, meeting everyone, blah, blah, blah. Like a specific thing that was non-comic, non-community related.
Fuck. Non-community related? And that's because, yeah, I mean, you're right. That's the easy answer to be like, oh, it's the friends we made along the way.
It's true too.
It is true. It's 100% true. But this is when we get 17 viewers and people in the chat, and then who knows how many people are going to see this. This is when I put on my patented Ricky vulnerability. I have a very small emotional battery when it comes to being in crowds and being around people. And I don't have like freakouts. I don't have like breakdowns. The way I describe it is I see on the hill my stress level. I see it way off in the distance, and I go, now's the time to take care of it. And so I'm gonna walk to my room. I'm gonna collect myself. I got a room by myself. It would have been way more fun to have a room with one of the other YouTubers for sure. Of course it would, but I'm very cognizant of like the space I need to take when crowds get to be too much, and I need time alone. And so on Saturday primarily, I spent a lot of time alone in my room. I'm at the convention. The convention's going crazy. And real talk, on Saturday, the biggest con day, I probably spent 3 hours out of my room. And then like an hour was with friends and like 2 hours at the con. I did not spend much time out because I drained my battery so thoroughly on Friday. And so the biggest takeaway for me that, is non-comic related, it's the ease at which everyone else let me just come and go as I pleased without having it be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I didn't go to my room and I wasn't flooded with texts of like, are you mad?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you need anything? It was just people being like, no, Ricky, he told us what the deal is. He knows what's up and he's taking care of himself and he'll be back later. And then I would show up later and everyone would go, Ricky. And then all of a sudden I'm just in the mix. So it was like, I felt like I was allowed to take care of myself in the way that I needed with other adults in a world where like people easily make each other feel like shit. I felt seen and protected by a group of people who understood, even if they didn't get it. So I know corny as fuck, but that's my answer.
No, it's true. I'm the same way. Like let's talk about Terrificon last year. It was the same thing. So I was there on Friday all day, and Saturday I went in the morning and then I left for the majority of the day. I just couldn't take it. When the world opened back up again at New York Comic Con, we were there and I caught an anxiety attack just from the crowd. And I had to step to the side and I sat on the floor. Like I stepped to the side in between two of the booths. Like it was in between two vendors. There was like a little space and I just sat on the floor. I was with my wife and my daughter and I was just like, yeah, I need a minute. Like I'm like super overwhelmed. That's when we still had to wear the mask. It's hot and it's just like the crowd was insane. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I mean, we're not a group that is like short of, I don't want to say like mental health issues, but like, people being aware of what your limitations are. And so I think, we're excited to be the first generation of people who don't see this as like weird shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like human shit. And so like, it was nice at 39 years old to feel like, this isn't like weird. I'm not looked at strange for being like, no, I don't want to be here. I need to be in my room. And like, that's one of the reasons why that Keanu video was done in my room. And that's why that Keanu video came out when it did at the con, because I was just having like a I need to be alone for a while and I need to be creative. And so that's when I did the video. That was my outlet. But, I can't help but feel like you see the photos of everybody hanging out and you're like, did I miss something? But then like, I think to myself, like I needed to be where I was, you know what I mean? So, but everybody's super supportive.
Nice. What about you, B?
Yeah. I mean, would you consider like a celebrity? I mean, Michael Rooker was an absolute sweetheart. I came off the elevator on Saturday. He was just getting in, and I was like, hey, I'm a huge fan. Thanks for everything. He shook my hand. He's like, oh, thanks, man. Thanks. So cool. And I was like, listen, it's my wife's and mine anniversary Tuesday. I'm not going to ask you to do it here, but I want to come to your booth and pay. Maybe you could send her a message on my phone. Yeah, come. We'll hook it up. I got this. I've been married 45 years. How many years you been married? And I was like, this is our 8th wedding anniversary. He's like, that's great. Keep it going. Too many people get divorced quick these days. And I was like, I'll see you tomorrow, or I'll see you this afternoon. So I went and I got in line, and he didn't have a crazy line. And I went up to his handler. I love calling them handlers. I think that's hilarious. I was like, listen, I'm going to buy an autograph, but I'm also going to give some additional money, and I'm hoping I can get him to film something for me. And she's like, yeah, you can ask him, So I bought an autograph picture that I was going to get for my wife anyways, because she loves him.
For $400?
$60. $60 for an autograph. She loves him as Yondu. She thinks he's hilarious. And, I'm always like, what's for dinner? She's like, we're having Taran tonight. You ain't never had Taran before. We're going to have it. And so I wanted to say that in the video, and I gave her additional money, and I went up to him like, Mr. Rooker, I was hoping. He's like, yeah, you want to say something for your wife for your anniversary? I'm like, I love that. Is that okay? And he's like, absolutely. So he snatched the phone out of my hand. He tries to FaceTime my wife, and she doesn't answer. And I'm like, come on, Hannah, answer. And she doesn't. And I'm like, oh, I guess, can we just film something? He's like, yeah, sure. So he filmed this wonderful, 20-second talking about Taran and being hilarious to her, just as kind as can be. And we finished, and then she called me back, and he snatched the phone out of my hand and answered it. And she just lost her mind. She was in the grocery store with her kids and stopped. And he's like, Hannah, I want Taran. I want it now. Cook it. Get it for me. And she was just dying. And then he held the phone up and he said, everyone say happy anniversary to Hannah. And the whole freaking con crowd did. And I'm like blushing, turning red. I'm like, what have I done?
Oh, that's amazing.
And he wouldn't get off the phone with her. Like, it wasn't like a quick, he was like talking to her. And then he gave the phone back and gave me a huge hug. And I was like, he doesn't have to do that.
He was trying to prevent your 10-year anniversary, it looks like.
Yeah. He's on my couch right now.
Yeah. I mean, he set the bar high, but that was so special of that moment for him to do that for my wife.
That's
amazing. So that was my comic adjacent, he acts in a comic movie, but non-community, non-comic book related, amazing moment that just blew me away.
That's wild. That's amazing. From a community aspect, how was it like meeting all these YouTubers in person for the first time? Like, was it weird? Were people themselves? Were people different than they are on the screen?
Every single comic book person that was like a content creator, I will say, was identical.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where we were having breakfast on the final day, and I looked over at Big B McFly, the comic guy, and it hit me that it feels like I've known you forever. There was no awkwardness, and it's because everybody in this space, we'll sniff you out real quick if y'all fake. Yeah. And you'll sniff us out if we're fake. So everybody that you get is their authentic self. And we just, I don't know, you just click. The fans, that was the strangest thing for me. Having someone be like, Ricky, from across the room, and looking at the crowd and being like, I have no idea who just yelled my name. And then there was a family. There was a mother, a father, and their 12-year-old daughter, and they're like, we always watch your videos. And she called her husband over, and I was like, this is so wild. And then I charged them $400 for an autograph.
Some old guy, the very first fan that said it to me, he's like, I'm on comics. I'm like, yeah. He's like, my name's Bob. And he's 70 years old. And he's like, I love watching your channel, and I got something for you. I'm like, okay. And he pulls out first Silver Age appearance of the Spectre. And he's hands it to me. And I'm like, what? And it said Rusted Staples. And he goes, I don't like Rusted Staples, but it's apparent through your channel you don't give a shit. Because I'll collect low grade anything. I don't care. And I was like, Bob, you're right. So I gave him some stickers. I talked with him for a bit. He was just he had his bag. He was on a mission. He was a pro. He was like doing his thing. So yeah, the fans were the weirder. Like people would just stop me, and I'm like my thing. I'm middle of nowhere, so I never see these people. Shout out to Renegade Rants Comics. His name's Jason. I walked out. He was cosplaying as Ghost Rider. He's from Watertown, New York, which is an hour and a half past me. And I walk outside to like get some fresh air, and he's sitting there. He's like, "Yo, Brandon," and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And he was the first person to recognize me at Free Comic Book Day this past year. I'll never get used to it. But to follow up on Ricky, yeah, like the content creators to a T were exactly the same as I see them. And they were wonderful. And my serotonin levels and dopamine levels just fell off after the con because I was like, this is such a unique experience to be with these people that I don't get once a year. I don't know when I'll get it again. This was special for me to go to this with my kids being young.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. Like the first time I started meeting people, it was in different pockets, right? So the first one was like a comic swap in Connecticut, the 3 Men in the Basement comic swap. That's when I met like the Pressable Defects and stuff. And I've changed a lot. So it's funny, like meeting people, I'll be like, oh, that guy was a jerk to me. Complete opposite. I was probably a jerk. I'm real standoffish, right? So that like changed like big time in getting to meet people more because I was out of my comfort zone. But meeting up with the guys when we first went to, like the first time I went to Terrificon, so it was like actual Dracula, the Pressable Defects, Comic Ozzy, who was there with you guys, Justin, No Good Comics. It's crazy how everybody is just like authentic and true to who they are. With Dracula, because I love actual Dracula, Adrian, so he's more quiet in person. So then I go to him and I'm just like, yo, what's up, Dracula? And then he's like looking at me like I'm crazy. And I was just like, yo, it's me, motherfucker. I'm the same person. Like I'm probably turned up more in person. But hanging out with all these people, and then you guys got to make it down to Heroes Con, man. Like I can't speak about Heroes Con enough.
When is it?
It's normally Father's Day weekend, but this one coming in 2025, it's the weekend after Father's Day weekend.
That means nothing to me. I don't know memorize dates now. I gotta look up fucking Father's Day.
Just Google it.
June 15th, 2025.
No, I think it's the weekend after.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
Father's
so
Day.
the end of June 2025. That's not bad.
But then it's weird because then it's like we're all out to eat, and then I'm like looking over, and it's just like, yeah, that's fucking Legion of Comics is right there. Fucking Remy Q is next to me. Like it's such a beautiful feeling, and to be the way I could describe it is, I used to watch 90 Day Fiance, so that's my guilty pleasure show. 90 Day Fiance. Shout out to the dude with what was his name? Ed. He made a video for my wife. No Neck Ed. I think that's what his name is. The 20th to the 22nd. There you go. And I always told my wife, I do not understand how these people fall in love without ever meeting in person. Like, I don't understand it. This is a sham. It's a reality show, whatever. Now I get it 100% because I fell in love with all these motherfuckers. And you guys, like just through the screen and through YouTube. So I totally get how people could fall in love online and on the internet.
Good comparison.
God damn. Well, with that as a final thing, let's just go around the horn really quick and as a way to close it out. Brandon, what are you working on right now? What can we look forward to?
Like I said, I mean, when I got home from Terrificon, it was, my wife had been alone with the kids for 4 days, so it was right back into family stuff. She's got to work. I have my work. So I've just been like I felt overwhelmed, to be honest. I had a stack of books, a lot which were gifted to me by amazing members of the community, like Los's Comic Journey and Sasquatch Comics, and all these people just pulled out books to hand to me. Mike from 120 Comics. So I have 3 stacks, and I said, okay, I'm just going to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to start at the beginning of the day and work through it. I'm going to take my time with these videos. They're probably going to be like 35 to 40 minute long, but I want people to experience the con that I did. And then September 20th, I'm going to do the Big 5 Live. And I already got my first guest, Justin from No Good Comics. Made those connections at Terrificon. He was a wonderful guy. We had fun busting Colossus's balls about his smudge Jim Lee signature that he did as a rookie. So Justin's going to come on that on September 20th.
Nice.
And I'm
DJ
gonna have
Linx
the
with-
crew on, DJ and Rob and Mark. I'm gonna have you guys at some point, but I know you guys are busy dudes.
No, like you mentioned it earlier, Ricky. Like, reach out to people. Like, definitely reach out to. Like, we love you. We'll clear the schedule. Earlier in September, well, let me not speak for Rob. Rob is a real busy dude, but just reach out, man.
Okay.
Like, well, yeah, we're happy
Absolutely.
to jump
100%.
on. And we're definitely in with the Comics Curing Cancer stuff. We're kind of in like a promo mode, so it'll be a good timing.
Speaking good transition. What can we expect from Mr. Linx?
So we are working on Comics Curing Cancer. Comics Curing Cancer is happening the weekend of October 4th through the 6th. So that's Friday through Sunday. What Comics Curing Cancer is, we're an official campaign of the American Cancer Society where we raise money through a myriad of efforts and donate all that money directly to the American Cancer Society. We don't even touch the money. It goes to a portal, and then that goes to the American Cancer Society. So what we're going to do, we're doing some auctions, selling books, selling a lot of original art. We released the Comics Curing Cancer art book for Heroes Con. I have 12 of those left. So if anyone is interested in one of those, go to djlinx.bigcartel.com. There's literally only 12 and there won't be any more printed after that. We are looking for donations in the sense of quality items to auction off to raise more funds for Comics Curing Cancer. So if you have anything that you want to part with, hit up the Comics Curing Cancer Instagram page, and it's literally just at Comics Curing Cancer on Instagram. And Ricky, again, thank you for the invite, bro. I had a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for
serious. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was an enjoyable experience. Thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks DJ Linx. Thanks Brandon from Mon
Thank
Comics.
you for having me.
Thanks Jesus. While we're here, thanks Jesus. Big ups. Thank whatever deity you pray to. We love you. You're a part of this community. We want you here, and yeah, we hope to see you next time.
Peace out, y'all.
Bye everybody.